fact news you can trust.
Vice President Mike Pence won't join Gomer's plan to append Congress certifying the election. Mitch McConnell says the bill to increase stimulus checks to $2,000 would not pass the Senate quickly. The big American tech companies are looking and acting more and more like their Chinese counterparts. We'll go into the details of these stories today. It's official. Vice President Pence refused to sign on to Texas Representative Louis Gomer's plan to append Congress certifying the election on January 6th. Pence indicated that the law as currently written does not give him the right to decide which electoral votes do or do not count. He has publicly split with Trump and Gomer in refusing to sign on to this effort. He made clear today that he will open the official votes from all states, and they will be counted by Congress. On the other hand, members of Congress have the right to object. Today, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley announced he will contest the election results. Other than Hawley, a number of senators such as Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, Rick Scott from Florida, Kelly Loeffler from Georgia, and Rand Paul from Kentucky are open to the idea of objecting to electors. So far, there are 5 House representatives indicated they would object. But several GOP senators, including number 2 Republican John Thune, have said the bid will fail. He said, the thing they've got to remember is it's just not going anywhere. I mean, in the Senate, it would go down like a shot dog. And I just don't think it makes a lot of sense to put everybody through this when you know what the ultimate outcome is going to be. I don't know about you, but I kind of disagree with the senator. I think a lot of times process is more important than outcome. You do something because you think it's the right thing to do, not because you think you're going to win. These senators and representatives reject the election results because they see mounting irregularities, and yet no court has the moral courage to hear these cases. It's a shame, and we don't want to be part of it. Also, I don't think the American people will easily forget about what these politicians did. People are still talking about election disputes in Nixon's time, in Bush's time, even in Thomas Jefferson's time. People don't forget and don't forgive politicians who betrayed them. Regarding Vice President Pence's decision, on one hand, I understand his concerns over whether he has the constitutional authority to do something like that. But on the other hand, I think the Vice President should have done more to show where he stands in this election dispute. He has not been very vocal about the election fraud, nor has he given enough support to the president in his fighting of the election fraud. I think now more than ever is when American people are looking for moral clarity from our leaders. It is fatal to the future of this country. Talking about the future of the country, we need to fix the fundamental building blocks of our democracy, which is our election. On Wednesday, Georgia's state Senate had another hearing on election fraud. These hearings are so important because each one of them has presented so much evidence that they themselves form a solid narrative. Here are the highlights of the Georgia hearing.
And the committee members, I respectfully request that you afford just a couple of minutes to Javon Pulitzer. He's just informed me of some very serious new evidence that he's just obtained from a Fulton County voting polling place within the last hour, and I think this committee needs to hear this.
Okay, we'll give. Can you do it just a couple of minutes? 2 minutes?
So as we all know, there's multiple teams working on this, and our technology team's into it. And as was broke early in the week and last week about connected devices, at this very moment at a polling location in the county, not only do we now have access through the devices to the poll pad, the system, but we are in. And it's not supposed to have Wi-Fi, and that's not supposed to be able to happen. So we've documented now. It's communicating 2 ways. in real time, meaning it's receiving data and sending data. Should never happen, shouldn't be Wi-Fi. We've now documented it in real time so we can suck down the data. But that's going on right there where everybody's voting. And I just wanted to get it into the record.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Jones, Senator
One of
Jones.
those, is it a mobile precinct or is it a?
No, it's a standing building.
Okay.
That this should not happen. And shouldn't happen in any way, but this is another one in real time. Won't disclose location because every location is
Right,
being
right, right.
checked, but we've now confirmed it 100%.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Senator Beach, did you, and now come to Sil Beach and Tillery. Did you have a question? Okay, well, Senator Tillery.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We've heard that there's 3 different types of machines: a scanner, a ballot marking device, and a polling pad.
Right.
Do you know which one it is communicating, or can you tell that? Or
Right now, what you heard in the past was coming through the thermostat and stuff. This is now a more direct access way, and so this is coming through the polling pad device where they're checking everything. But now, it only takes one device where you daisy chain them together and do it. The most important thing is that shouldn't be two-waying and even shouldn't be accessible or on, and it's there. Were there any other questions?
Could I ask him one question? What effect could somebody with, dishonest purposes, what could that person do given this access that's going on right now in Fulton County?
Statistically, what can be going on when you have an operation like this is as that data is being exchanged and somebody's in it, can actually siphon off that data, modify the data, and feed it right back into the system, or kind of do a pump and dump in real time, right? It's kind of like at home when we all used to have a dial-up and you're connected to the internet and doing what you're doing, and then all your kids get on and the bandwidth goes down and everybody clogs. It creates that kind of atmosphere where not only are you in the system, but then once you get into the machine, you can do stuff in real time, changing its intent. That's what it opens up.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Susan Knox, and I'm from Cobb County. I'm a 10th generation Georgian. I'm a huge patriot, and I happened to be at Jim Miller Park on Friday, November the 20th, and I knew they were certifying the vote there that day, and I happened to be in the parking lot, and I just kind of wanted to see who was actually in the building that was going to certify the votes, and I pulled around the corner and I saw an A1 shredding and recycling machine. It was a huge box truck shredding ballots. I've got some pictures here that I could hand out for you all where, sorry to pull off.
Oh, there it's come up. Is that it?
Yes, and if
November the 20th, Friday morning, I'm watching all of these ballots being shredded now. Unbelievable. Let's just move up and let's see what else is going out. Yep, here we go. What are they shredding? Massive amounts of ballots right there going out.
What building is that?
Jim Miller Park.
Is that the building where ballots stored in that building? Is
Yes,
that
sir.
where the voting was
Yes,
occurring?
right outside where they, and I've got another video right after this that'll explain that.
Were you able to see what was being shredded?
Yes, sir. I have pictures, and you'll see now. It's the next one, please.
This is Susan Knox. I am in Cobb County.
It's actually,
Jim Miller
it says
Park.
trash can. There's 2 on the bottom that they put together
Friday
for me.
morning, November 20th. Here is a
It says trash can. There they are. It says shred on that box right there. And according to Janine Eveler, in a statement she made, there was absolutely nothing that was shredded that shouldn't have been. There were no ballots, and she made a statement. A1 Shredding and Recycling put a statement out on Saturday, November 21st, stating they were a family-owned business and that they did not mean to get in the mix of this, and that I think they had gone to the FBI or the GBI because there had been so much backlash after my videos went viral.
But you're in that trash can, those were ballots.
Yes, sir. I'd love to give you a close-up picture. You can pass these around.
Do you know who paid A1 Shredding?
I do not. But when Janine Eveler came out and said there was absolutely nothing that should not have been shredded, I would just like to ask her under oath what I saw shredded. And Sally Grubbs is coming up after me, and she came to Jim Miller Park and pulled in because she heard they were shredding ballots. She went straight up to the truck, almost blocked him in. He started pulling out. I called 911 twice. They did not come to Jim Miller Park. I called them. I have the recordings. If y'all wanted to listen to the recordings, I'm begging them to send a police or a sheriff, because I said, what is more important, that our presidential election, and they're shredding ballots at Jim Miller Park? They never showed up.
Now some updates on the stimulus bill. On Monday, President Trump signed the $2.3 trillion COVID relief and spending bill. Meanwhile, he requested Congress to pass bills to raise the payment to individuals from $600 to $2,000, reduce wasteful spending, repeal Section 230, and initiate voter fraud investigations. The House passed the bill Monday to increase the amount of the stimulus checks, but did not include the others. When the bill reached the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell turned it down, implying the Senate would not pass a standalone bill on checks. Mitch McConnell said this: "The Senate is not going to split apart the three issues that President Trump linked together just because Democrats are afraid to address two of them, meaning Section 230 and voter fraud investigation." Interestingly, after McConnell blocked the bill from reaching the Senate's floor, President Trump tweeted this: "Unless Republicans have a death wish, and it is also the right thing to do, they must approve the $2,000 payments as soon as possible. $600 is not enough." We talked about this before. When President Trump signed the relief bill, he invoked the 1974 Impeachment Control Act to demand rescissions be made to the spending measures that he disapproved. He also demanded the repeal of the Section 230 and election fraud investigations, but these demands were largely ignored by Democratic-controlled House. They only agreed to increase the payment to individuals from $600 to $2,000, but ignored the other request. So now the Senate is saying that you have to pass them all together. Isn't the Senate finishing up the fight for the president? But the president seems to be more concerned with just the check itself right now, which is very important, of course. But if we look at this from a bigger picture perspective, maybe the wasteful $2.3 trillion relief bill should not have been passed in Congress in the first place. After all, only $900 billion of that $2.3 trillion are related to COVID relief. Now I want to say a few more words about Section 230. Some of us may not fully understand the rationale behind repealing Section 230. For those who are not familiar with Section 230, it's an act to provide protections to hosting platforms and social media platforms so that they are not legally responsible for content that is hosted on their platforms. Although they're not responsible for the content on their platforms, they essentially take upon themselves to pick and choose their content. President Trump called it selective censorship. These big content platforms have been known for censoring conservative content, and by doing so, they become publishers, not neutral content platforms, and therefore should lose the protection Section 230 provides, according to the president. This is not a small issue. The way the big American tech companies operate nowadays resemble more and more of what the big tech Chinese companies operate. In China, there are simply no neutral content platforms. All of them are publishers whose publishing guidelines are decided by the party. Technology-wise, very much like the American companies, the Chinese companies have the state-of-the-art technology. They use big data analysis and artificial intelligence to help design their powerful algorithms to get people addicted to their content. And these powerful content platforms in turn serve as powerful brainwashing tools for the party. Take a look at this small portion of our documentary movie, The American Republic versus the CCP, to see how this model works.
I mean, China, you know that there is no privacy. I mean, who cares, right? So the company actually collects every single thing of persons. And because of that, I mean, because they have the capability of collect all the information from a person, and they can actually train their deep learning model to perfect. In this case, U.S. companies and Western companies cannot compete with them. The privacy law said if one company has 10 different apps, the information collected by each app can only be used by each app. You cannot combine them and then interrelate them and then synthesize new data out of them. Okay, so that is significantly restricted. But for Chinese company, there is no such a rule. That's why they can build better recommendation algorithm. So this is a very dangerous company. I mean, when it collects your data, they know who you are, they know what you like and dislike. They can actually manipulate you.
Although Douyin uses powerful algorithms to determine your interest and target the recommended content accordingly, algorithms are not the only factor in what Douyin shows to each user. In China, the most posts Douyin users see are from the party's mouthpiece, People's Daily, simply because Douyin is required by the government to push People's Daily's content to its 500 million active users. As a result of such powerful promotion, the People's Daily has almost 100 million followers on Douyin today. If we replace the Chinese Communist Party with a progressive, pro-socialist ideology, the situations in the two countries are almost identical. These companies get us addicted, they choose what we see, and they shape our mind. This is the road to serfdom, as the political philosopher Friedrich Hayek put it. Some people might argue if the government removed the protection to these companies so that they would be responsible for everything on their platforms, wouldn't that give them more excuses to censor their content? Well, I think this might happen, but imagine the amount of lawsuits that are going to fall upon these companies from all directions. They have the potential of making these companies not even be able to function. Is this fair? I think the bottom line is, unless this country becomes a communist totalitarian regime, you cannot have both ways. Rights and responsibility should go hand in hand. It cannot be that you don't have the responsibility for your content, but you have the right to censor them. That's what happens in a communist regime, and I don't think we want to go there. That's it for today's program. If you like our production, please share and subscribe to our channel. You can also watch our show on our website, zoomingin.tv and Rumble. Thanks for watching. I'm Simone Gao, and I'll see you next time.